my actual videos don't get any views. So I've really been focused on my shorts because they're getting some traction, and even though the numbers are false, it gives one a false sense of having viewers. On some level, that's intoxicating. But I feel inspired. I'm gonna make a long video just for the sake of making a video because it's slow right now. I had a delivery by my old house off of Woodlawn. So every time I'm on this side of town, I drive by my old house. I drive by the kids' old school, Woodlawn Elementary, which has been demolished. And I reminisce. And I like to, you know, if it's rich people trash day, I like to cruise around and see what there is. I passed by this house right across the street, and it looks like, at a glance, it looks like they got evicted and everybody just threw all their shit out in the yard. But I think it's more a yard sale, or I don't know what's going on. There's a car in the driveway. And I would not walk on somebody's property like that, even though that is what they do during evictions. They just throw your shit outside and everybody goes and takes it. So when we lived at the Jansen address, which is nowhere near Woodlawn, I remember meeting this guy on one of the dating sites, probably POF. He was gorgeous. He was evidently returned military, and I didn't have my radar out for that. You know, it wasn't a sensitive subject at that time, even though the break-ins were already occurring. But, you know, I didn't feel the fear that I sometimes do now with returned military and law enforcement. And so this guy, very, very attractive. One of the most attractive people that has ever expressed interest in me. And I've had some really, I mean, like JFK type hot dudes that made really good money express interest in me. So he was on that level. And, you know, blonde, blue eyes, really fit. So there was, where the old Krispy Kreme used to be, now it's like a Hawaiian Brothers or some shit like that. I think it was I don't know, it was a buffet or something, and he picked me up in his little truck. It had this hatchback that was pretty tall and wide in the back. It had these big doors that opened like double doors. I remember that much. It's like a tan colored truck. Pretty small, actually, to have that big cab in the back. And he was, you know, he was trying to make a good impression. He was excited. So I think he had a coffee or a juice. And when we got out of the truck, he brought it with him. Not to be cheap, it was more like an oversight. And it was our first date. So the manager comes over and he says, "Hey, I'm sorry, you can't bring outside drinks here." And I felt kind of embarrassed, but it's not really a big deal. Like, whatever, who cares? Sure, sorry, my bad, it was an oversight. I'll throw it away right now. That would be a normal reaction. This guy, who I understand now had PTSD, he flipped his lid. He turned red and he got upset at the manager. And I wonder where he is. I wonder what he's doing. I hope he's doing great. And I would not pass him up again. I don't know what I was thinking. I think I was thinking about my attorney that I was completely in love with, and I couldn't see past. That's the only logical explanation for why I wouldn't have wanted to go on a second date. So we finished dating and we parted ways, and he kept trying to contact me, and I didn't want to see him. I think I was a little bit frightened because of his outburst. It just seemed off. And the reason I felt inspired to speak about him, it's not because all these years I've been dreaming of what could have been. Probably thought about it maybe about 5 times total in the almost 15 years that we went out on our one date. It's because then PTSD was a foreign concept to me, something that I was afraid of, something that I didn't want to deal with it. And now, because of all these interactions, and I actually have PTSD because I know a lot of the perpetrators are returned military, younger kids, people that have seen combat. I wanted to touch on that, it's a curse and a blessing. When I was in school, I wanted to be a counselor, a forensic psychologist, actually. I might have gone on to get my doctorate. Something along that lines, something working with law enforcement, which would include returned military, predominantly. And it's not something you can understand, and I certainly don't claim to understand on the level that combat veterans do. There's no way. I can't even imagine. But understanding, how it affects you emotionally, like the outbursts that I have had and the inability for me to control my reaction, my emotions, it gives me a lot to think about and a lot to be grateful for.